The construction site on the outskirts of Charlotte, North Carolina, hummed with activity. Power tools screaming, concrete mixers grinding, men shouting over the noise. It was a high-end commercial development, the kind that attracted experienced crews and paid well enough that competition for spots was fierce. Wesley Cole stepped through the chain-link gate at 6:45 in the morning, 15 minutes early for his first day. He wore work boots that had seen better years, Carhartt pants faded from 100 washes, and a long-sleeved flannel shirt, despite the August heat already climbing toward 90 degrees. His truck, a 1998 Ford F-150 with rust spots and a dented tailgate, stood out among the newer vehicles in the lot like a sore thumb. At 28, Wesley had the lean build of someone who'd spent his life doing physical work with sun-weathered skin and hands already calloused before he'd touched his first construction tool. His hair was military short, though it had been 9 months since his discharge, and when he spoke, introducing himself to the foreman, his accent was pure Appalachian, West Virginia hills, where every word rolled slow and soft, like creek water over stones. "Wesley Cole, sir. Here for the framing position." Brooks Hartman, the site foreman, looked him up and down with the assessing eye of someone who'd hired and fired 100 workers. "You're the one who applied online?" "Yes, sir. Resume said you got carpentry experience." "Some, sir. Built a few barns back home, helped my daddy with additions and repairs, learned framing working on a housing project in Beckley before I left West Virginia." "Before you left?" Brooks caught the hesitation. "Why'd you leave?" "Needed a fresh start, sir. Seemed like Charlotte had more opportunities." Brooks grunted. "You ever worked commercial construction? This ain't barn raising. We got codes, inspections, timelines. Everything's got to be precise. I'm a quick learner, sir, and I don't mind hard work." "We'll see." Brooks handed him a hard hat. "Report to Gavin Miller, crew chief on the 2nd floor. Do what he says. Don't waste time, and maybe you'll last the week. Lot of boys from the country come here thinking construction's construction. Most don't make it past day 3. "Yes, sir. Thank you, sir." As Wesley walked toward the building frame, hard hat in hand, he heard the whispers starting. Construction sites had their own ecosystem, and new guys were always blood in the water. "Check out the new guy," someone muttered. "Looks like he just fell off a hay wagon. Hear that accent? Probably thinks Charlotte's the big city. $10 says he doesn't know which end of a nail gun to point." Wesley kept walking, his face neutral. He'd heard worse. Much worse. The 2nd floor was a skeleton of steel beams and plywood decking, open to the sky where the roof would eventually be. 8 men worked in coordinated chaos, measuring, cutting, nailing, the rhythm of experienced framers who could build walls in their sleep. Gavin Miller was mid-40s, barrel-chested, with a graying beard and the confidence of someone who'd run crews for 20 years. He sized up Wesley with a glance that missed nothing. "You're the new guy. Cole, right?" "Yes, sir." "Don't call me sir. I work for a living." It was an old military joke, but Gavin didn't know that. "You know how to read plans?" "Yes." "You know the difference between a king stud and a jack stud?" "King stud runs full height. Jack stud supports the header over openings." Gavin's eyebrows rose slightly. "All right. You're with Matteo and Tristan on the west wall. Follow their lead. Don't slow them down, and we might keep you around." Matteo Reyes and Tristan Park were both in their mid-30s, both built like they'd been swinging hammers since they could walk. They gave Wesley the kind of look reserved for the new guy who'd probably screw something up. "Great, another cherry," Matteo said. "Where you from, kid?" "West Virginia." "West Virginia." Tristan grinned. "That explains the accent. What did you do back there, moonshine and banjos?" "Worked construction. Some farming." "Farming." Matteo laughed. "Dude, this is commercial framing. We're not building chicken coops. I understand that. Do you?" Because we got quotas. Every wall behind schedule costs the whole crew bonus money. So if you can't keep up, speak now and save us all the headache." Wesley met his eyes steadily. "I can keep up. We'll see." They worked through the morning, and to everyone's surprise, Wesley could keep up. Not just barely. He understood the work, moved with efficiency, anticipated what was needed. His measurements were accurate, his cuts clean, his nailing fast and precise. But the mockery didn't stop. "Hey, Wesley, you need me to translate the plans to Hillbilly?" Tristan asked at one point. "I'm good, thanks. Where'd you learn to frame? YouTube?" "Here and there." At lunch, the crew gathered in the shade of the first floor, eating from coolers and giving each other the kind of shit that construction workers had been giving each other since the pyramids. Wesley sat slightly apart, eating a sandwich his landlord's daughter had made him. White bread, bologna, yellow mustard. Simple food that marked him as different from the guys with their Subway orders and energy drinks. "Look at that," someone said, a younger framer named Brooks. "My grandma makes sandwiches like that. Probably tastes like home, right, Wesley? Miss the holler?" "It's fine," Wesley said quietly. "Betty misses his sister wife," Tristan added, and the group laughed. Wesley said nothing, just kept eating, his face neutral, his grey-blue eyes distant, like he was looking at something they couldn't see. "What's wrong, country boy? Don't like jokes?" "Jokes are fine." "Then why so quiet? You slow or something?" "Just don't see the point in talking when there's nothing to say." Matteo leaned forward. "See, that's your problem. This crew, we talk, we joke around, we give each other shit. You coming in here all quiet and serious, that's weird. Makes people wonder what you're hiding." "Not hiding anything." "Then why come all the way from West Virginia to Charlotte? What did you run away from?" Wesley stood, collected his trash. "Nothing I need to discuss with you." He walked away, and the laughter followed him. By mid-afternoon, the temperature had climbed to 95 degrees, the kind of heat that made every movement feel like swimming through soup. Most of the crew had stripped down to t-shirts, but Wesley kept his flannel on, sleeves rolled down despite the sweat darkening the fabric. "Dude, you're gonna die of heat stroke," Matteo said. "Take off the flannel." "I'm fine." "You're not fine. You're sweating like a pig." "What, you got something to hide under there? Track marks? Prison tattoos?" "Just prefer keeping covered. That's not normal, man. It's 95 degrees. Gavin walked over, assessing the situation. "Cole, you need to stay hydrated in this heat. If you pass out, that's an OSHA incident and a mountain of paperwork. Lose the long sleeves or take a break." "I'd rather keep working, sir." "Gavin." "Then lose the flannel. That's not a request." Wesley hesitated, something flickering across his face, reluctance, maybe embarrassment. Then he unbuttoned the flannel and stripped it off, revealing a plain grey t-shirt underneath, and his right arm. The tattoo covered his entire upper arm, from shoulder to elbow, an intricate, unmistakable design in black and gold ink, the eagle, globe, and anchor. The emblem of the United States Marine Corps, rendered in perfect detail with the kind of precision that came from expensive work, not prison stick and poke. Below it, in bold letters, Semper Fidelis. And beneath that, smaller script that listed dates and locations. Helmand Province 2012-2013, Ramadi 2014. The construction site didn't go silent. Power tools still screamed, workers still hammered. But the immediate area around Wesley went very, very quiet. Tristan saw it first. His smirk died. "Holy shit." Matteo followed his gaze, and his expression changed from mockery to something closer to shock. "You're a Marine?" "Was," Wesley said quietly, rolling up his sleeves properly now that the secret was out. "Got out 9 months ago." "You deployed?" Gavin's voice had changed too, the dismissiveness gone. "Twice. Afghanistan first tour, Iraq second." "Combat?" "Yes, sir." The other workers had started to notice, drifting over or craning their necks to see. The tattoo wasn't just ink. It was a statement, a credential that carried weight in ways civilian life rarely acknowledged. Brooks, the younger framer who'd made the sister-wife joke, had gone pale. We didn't know. Didn't ask, Wesley said simply. What'd you do in the Marines? Gavin asked. Infantry, 0311 rifleman, then team leader. Did 2 tours, came home, got discharged honorably. Why'd you get out? Wesley's jaw tightened. Medical. Injuries that made me non-deployable. They offered me a desk job stateside, but that's not why I joined. So I took the discharge and came home. And ended up in Charlotte doing construction. Need to work. Construction pays decent and I know how to do it. Seemed like a good fit. Mateo sat down heavily on a stack of lumber. Man, we've been giving you shit all day. Calling you slow, making jokes about me being a dumb hillbilly, Wesley finished. I know, I heard. We didn't know. Would it have mattered if you did? Wesley's voice was still quiet, but there was an edge to it now. Does someone need to be a veteran to deserve basic respect? Or should you just not make fun of people based on where they're from and how they talk? Silence. I'm from the mountains, Wesley continued. My family's been in those hills for 6 generations. We're not rich, we're not sophisticated. We talk slow and we eat simple food and, yeah, our trucks are old and our clothes are worn. But that doesn't make us stupid, doesn't make us less. He picked up his flannel, folded it carefully. I joined the Marines at 18 because I wanted to serve my country. Spent 5 years doing it. Saw things I don't talk about. Did things I don't talk about. When I came home, I found out that the jobs in West Virginia were gone. Coal mines closed, factories shut down. So I came here looking for work. And we treated you like garbage, Gavin said quietly. You treated me like you thought I deserved. Now you know I'm a veteran, so maybe you'll think different. But the thing is, I'm the same person I was this morning. Same accent, same background, same simple country boy you all laughed at. Wesley met their eyes one by one. The only thing that changed is you found out I did something you respect. So ask yourselves, why didn't I deserve that respect before? The rest of the day was different. Not dramatically. The work continued, the timeline didn't change, the walls still needed building, but the atmosphere had shifted. Tristan worked alongside Wesley without the snide comments. Mateo offered him water without being asked. Brooks apologized quietly, awkwardly, and Wesley accepted it with a nod that said more than words. During the afternoon break, Gavin pulled Wesley aside. I owe you an apology, not just for today, but for assuming. I should have asked about your experience instead of judging based on appearance. It's fine. It's not fine. I'm former Army myself, 4 years, got out in 98. I should have recognized something. The way you carry yourself, the yes sirs, the haircut. Should have seen it. Wesley shrugged. Most people don't. The military's less than 1% of the population. Most civilians don't think about it. What unit were you with? 1st Battalion, 7th Marines, Echo Company. Gavin's eyes widened. 1st of the 7th. You guys saw heavy action in Helmand. Yeah, I heard about that. The fighting around Sangin, the push into Taliban territory. Brutal stuff. Wesley didn't respond, his eyes distant again. Listen, Gavin said after a moment. You're good at this work, better than I expected, honestly. You've got attention to detail, you follow instructions, and you don't complain. That's rare. If you want to stay on, I'll make sure you get fair treatment. I appreciate that, but I've got to ask, why construction? With your military experience, you could do a lot of things. Security, law enforcement, plenty of programs for veterans. Tried security. Didn't like it. Wesley's voice was flat. Too much like being deployed. Hypervigilance, always scanning for threats, treating everyone like a potential enemy. Made my head worse, not better. Your head? PTSD. Nothing severe, mostly under control, but certain jobs trigger it. Construction's different. It's physical, it's creative, you build something real, helps me stay grounded. Gavin nodded slowly. I get that. Lot of us find our way back through our hands. That evening, as the crew packed up, Matteo approached Wesley at his truck. Hey man, I wanted to say something about earlier. You don't have to. No, I do. I was an asshole. Made assumptions based on your accent, your truck, the way you dress. That was wrong. And then, when I found out you're a Marine, my first instinct was to treat you different, which is also wrong, because like you said, you're the same person. Wesley leaned against his truck. So, what are you saying? I'm saying I'm sorry, and I'm saying I need to do better. Not just with veterans, but with everyone. I shouldn't need to know someone's background to treat them with respect. No, you shouldn't. Wesley extended his hand. But I appreciate you saying it. Takes courage to admit you were wrong. They shook and Matteo grinned. You're all right, Cole, even if you do eat bologna sandwiches like it's 1985. Bologna's cheap, and it tastes like home. Fair enough. Matteo headed to his own truck, then turned back. Hey, some of us grab beers after work on Fridays. Nothing fancy, just a dive bar downtown. You're welcome to join if you want. Maybe. I'll think about it. 3 months later, Wesley stood on the same construction site, now leading his own small crew on the third-floor framing. Gavin had promoted him to assistant crew chief after 6 weeks, recognizing not just his skill, but his ability to teach others with patience and clarity. The project was nearing completion. The building that had been a skeleton was now taking real shape, with walls, windows, and a roof. Wesley had been part of building something real, something that would stand for decades. On a Friday afternoon, as they wrapped up for the week, a young worker named Addison, fresh out of high school, first construction job, made a mistake that cost them an hour of rework. The kid was devastated, apologizing over and over while the other workers grumbled about lost time. Wesley pulled him aside. It's fine. Mistakes happen, especially when you're learning. But I cost everyone. You're 18 years old with 3 weeks of experience. You're supposed to make mistakes. That's how you learn. Wesley handed him a water bottle. When I first deployed, I was 19, made mistakes that could have gotten people killed. But my team leader, Staff Sergeant Quinn, he never yelled at me, just showed me how to do it right, then made me practice until I couldn't do it wrong. You were a Marine. Addison's eyes widened. Yeah. That's so cool. Did you see combat? Wesley's expression closed slightly. I did. But it's not something I talk about much. Sorry, I didn't mean to. It's fine. Just remember that everyone starts somewhere. You're not expected to be perfect. You're expected to learn, work hard, and get better every day. Can you do that? Yes, sir. Then we're good. Later, as Wesley packed his tools, Gavin found him. Got something for you. He handed Wesley an envelope. Inside was a job offer. Full crew chief position, significant raise, benefits package. You've earned it, Gavin said. You're one of the best framers I've got, and the crew respects you. That's rare. I appreciate this. You deserve it. And Wesley, I'm glad you came to Charlotte. Glad you walked through that gate 3 months ago, even though we didn't exactly roll out the welcome mat. Wesley smiled slightly. Things worked out. They did. But they shouldn't have required you proving yourself before we treated you decently. That's on us. That night, Wesley joined the crew at their usual Friday bar, a dim, worn place called Murphy's that served cheap beer and didn't play music too loud. Matteo, Tristan, Gavin, Brooks, and half a dozen others crowded around a table covered in baskets of fries and sweating beer bottles. To Wesley, Matteo raised his bottle, who taught us that judging people is bullshit and that the quietest guy in the room might be the strongest? They drank to that. Later, as the conversation flowed and laughter filled the spaces between words, Tristan leaned over to Wesley. Can I ask you something? About your tattoo? Depends on the question. The dates. Helmand Province, 2012 to 2013. What happened there? Wesley was quiet for a long moment. We lost 4 guys from my platoon. Good men. Brothers. He took a drink. The tattoo's not about pride or looking tough. It's about remembering. Making sure that wherever I go, whoever I become, I carry them with me. That's heavy. Yeah. But it's also beautiful, in a way. Wesley nodded slowly. I like to think they'd appreciate it. They were all from small towns, Georgia, Texas, Arkansas, simple guys like me. They didn't join the Marines to become heroes. They joined because they wanted to be part of something bigger than themselves, wanted to serve. Did you get what you wanted from the service? I got more than I wanted. More than I knew how to ask for. Wesley traced the condensation on his beer bottle. I learned that strength isn't about being loud or impressive. It's about showing up every day and doing your job even when it's hard. I learned that respect has to be earned, but it also has to be given freely until someone proves they don't deserve it. And I learned that home isn't a place. It's the people who have your back when everything goes to hell. He looked around the table at faces that had been hostile 3 months ago and were now friendly, open, genuine. I thought I left my brothers behind when I got discharged, thought I'd never find that again in civilian life. But maybe I was wrong. Maybe you find it wherever people are willing to look past the surface and see who you really are. Matteo raised his bottle again. To finding it, to being better, and to simple country boys who teach city slickers how to be decent human beings. They drank to that too. Outside, the Charlotte night was warm, the city lights bright against the darkness. Wesley stood in the parking lot for a moment before getting in his truck, looking back at the bar where laughter spilled through the open door. He'd come to Charlotte looking for work. He'd found something else, a reminder that dignity wasn't about where you came from or what you'd done. It was about how you treated people and how you let them treat you. The tattoo on his arm was a reminder of who he'd been, but the calluses on his hands, the crew who'd become friends, the building he'd helped construct, that was who he was becoming. Simple, country, marine, builder, human, all of it true. None of it worth less than the others. And finally, 3 months after walking through that gate, Wesley felt like maybe he was home.